morning, Sego. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our last installment of the Saturday Morning Breakfast Club. For this very special week, we are going to be making strawberry oatmeal bars. The ingredients that we'll be using for this week's recipe include 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of quick oats, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, 10 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1½ teaspoons of vanilla, and 3/4 of a cup of strawberry jam or preserves. In addition to the ingredients, there are a few other items from around the kitchen we're going to need. We'll need an 8x8 baking pan. A little smaller or a tiny bit bigger is okay. We'll need parchment paper or tinfoil, whatever you happen to have. Non-stick cooking spray. We're going to use 2 mixing bowls, a wooden spoon, a whisk, and some measuring cups and spoons, specifically 1 cup, 3/4 cup, a 1/2 cup, a 1/4 teaspoon, and a 1/2 teaspoon. Before we get to the baking, the first thing we need to do is preheat our ovens to 355 degrees. I think we're ready to go ahead and get started. Let's start with our oats. We're going to add 1 cup of quick oats into our mixing bowl. Now we'll measure out our flour. We've got 1 cup of flour. We'll measure out our baking soda now. For this, we need 3/4 of a teaspoon. I'm just using a 1/4 measuring spoon, so I'm going to do this 3 times. And our other dry ingredient, salt, we're just going to throw in a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, with all of our dry ingredients in the bowl, we're going to go ahead and give this a little bit of a mix, just to make sure that everything is all nice and well combined. Now that we've got that finished, we can set that out of the way, and we're going to get started with our other mixing bowl. In this bowl, we're going to measure out 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. Now for our butter. We're using 10 tablespoons of butter, and we need to make sure that it's melted. I'm going to take this big stick of butter and I'm just going to cut it into smaller chunks. That way it should melt quicker in the microwave. There we go. While our butter is in the microwave melting, we can go ahead and add in our vanilla. Here we're going to be adding in 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. I'll check on my butter quickly. Still not looking very melted. I'll pop it back in, and while we wait, I'm just going to try and mix the vanilla into the brown sugar as much as I can. Watch your fingers, it's going to be hot. There's our 10 tablespoons of butter. It's all melted down now. Now we just want to make sure that we whisk everything all together. We need to keep doing this until all of that butter has been incorporated into that brown sugar. I know it seems like an impossible task, but I promise, just keep on mixing and eventually it will all combine together and create something that looks similar to a caramel sauce. starting to thicken up a little on my end. How's yours looking? I think we're getting to a pretty good consistency. Beautiful. Now it's time to add all of those dry ingredients into this brown sugar mixture. I'm just going to keep using my wooden spoon, and now we're going to mix all of this together as well. Just keep on stirring, making sure that you're pulling all of the flour and extra oats down from the sides of the bowl. Now that we've got our dough finished, we can get our pan ready. I'm just going to use this parchment paper. We want to make sure that the piece of parchment paper or tinfoil that we use, we leave enough of an overhang around the edges. It'll be easier to help lift everything out once it's finished baking. We're also going to give a nice light spray of our non-stick cooking spray. Now it's time for the oat mixture. We're going to want to put just a little more than half of this mixture into our baking pan. This is what's going to create the base of our bars. The leftover will be the crumble that we add to the top once we've got our jam inside. This is looking like it should be enough to create a nice base. Use your fingertips and go ahead and press gently down to create a base, making sure that you've covered all of the bottom of the pan. Try to make it as even as possible. I'm just going to add a little bit more to make sure I've got this end covered. And it's ready to go in the oven. Now to cook the base, we're going to go ahead and place this into our preheated oven for 10 minutes. When that first timer goes off, remove the baking pan from the oven. Remember, your pan's going to be pretty hot, so watch those fingers. Here I've got 3/4 of a cup of strawberry jam. I'm just going to try and spread this out a little bit. It's pretty sticky. Now I think I might just grab a spoon out of my cutlery drawer. So here I'm just going to use the back of a tablespoon and very carefully and very gently spread this strawberry jam to cover all of the base. I'm just hanging on to the edges of that parchment paper rather than the pan. This is another reason why keeping some overhang in the pan is helpful. I think I've got this spread out pretty evenly, and it's looking pretty good. Now it's time to add our crumble, which is that leftover remaining dough that we've already prepared. Go ahead and sprinkle this all over the top. There's no magic here. Just go ahead and sprinkle and try and make it as even as possible. The topping is my favorite part of this breakfast treat, so I want to make sure that I get every last piece of oats out of my mixing bowl. And there we go. Now for the last step, we're going to go ahead and place this back into the oven and bake for another 14 to 16 minutes. Essentially, we just want that beautiful crumble topping to slightly brown, and then it's ready to pull out of the oven. When your bars are finished and you've removed them from the oven, you're going to want to make sure that you place your baking pan on a wire rack to let them cool. Once your bars have cooled, you can go ahead and cut them up into squares or rectangles or any shape that you like, and they'll be ready to serve. We hope you enjoyed this week's recipe, and until next time, Ona!